Okay, and then just so that I have this in the recording, today is September 13th, and this is EDTC300. Okay, we all made it through the first week, and tonight what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at blogs. So again, does anyone in here have a blog yet? Brooklyn says yes. Kylie, maybe, yes?
I have
Nicole,
one.
yes, Nicole does, yes.
Julie does.
Julie does, okay, awesome. So we got a few people with blogs. And so, you know, those people, now you know who they are and you can bother them if they, if you're having trouble, you'll know who the super awesome, smart people are who already know what they're doing. So just keep that in mind. So if you have a blog from another class, I don't remember if I told you this last week, but if you do, you're welcome to use this again, okay? So you can use the same blog for everything. I'm gonna show you how to make a category so that we can organize things really nicely. I just wanted to start though with a couple of things from the weekly plans. So one thing that I have on there, and I'm just gonna share my screen, so you're gonna see how much fun we can have on Zoom. Okay, so now you should be able to, wait, did I share the right thing? Yeah, can you see the weekly plans? Yes, awesome, okay. For some reason, I'm not getting the awesome green highlight around my screen. Weekly plans for today. The first thing I just wanted to show you is every year at the end of the semester, or at the end of every semester, I ask my students to do kind of the same thing that we did with the Padlets on the first day, except I do it and ask them to give advice for future eComp students. So this is back when it was called eComp. So obviously when you give it this semester, you're gonna give EdTech advice. So I just wanna show you, you can check out the link, but this is kind of, you can see some of them. You're welcome to go read through them. It's some pretty decent advice. Are you able to see the Padlet? Yes, excellent. I think you'll find that the majority of the advice is don't get behind on your blog posts. And that is really good advice because if you get behind, it's just kind of overwhelming to catch up. So if you do what you're supposed to do every week, it's cool and everything's good, but there will inevitably be a couple people who get behind, and then we will do our best to keep them back on track, because otherwise it's really difficult to get caught up if you get too far back. And I think some other really good advice, I'm just looking here, try new things. I also really enjoy, don't leave unit projects / learning projects for the last minute. Yes, you cannot learn how to play the guitar in 1 week. That's a poor choice. Your fingers will be bleeding. So just, do it over the course of the semester and it won't be a big deal. But if you leave it until the last minute, it's gonna be super unpleasant. So you can check out that advice if you'd like. You can start thinking about what you're gonna say at the end of the class. Okay, so the other thing that I want to show you here is there's something that we're going to spend a lot of time working on in this class, and that is your PLN. Does anyone know or have a guess about what a PLN might be? Got some shaking heads. Anyone? No? Okay, so your PLN, so Nicole has, okay, so that's one of there are kind of two things that it can be. So some people would call it a professional learning network, right? Which Nicole and Emily pointed out there. And then some people will call it a personal learning network. And the idea here is that you're gonna build a network of people that you can learn from that are tailored to you, to what you need, right? Instead of just learning from, I guess, like there's a lot to learn online, right? You can't just go onto the internet and be like, I am going to learn, please teach me, internet. But if you build a nice group of people around you who have interests that align with what you want to learn, then you have a much better shot at kind of developing the skills and of being able to learn kind of with this group of people. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you a video, and we're gonna try it out. So depending on your internet connection, and hold on, I'm gonna stop it before it goes. Don't go, stop.
A personal learning network, or PLN, is a way.
I stopped you. Okay, sorry. Don't mind me talking to my computer screen. Okay, so depending on your internet, it is possible that this is gonna lag when I show it to you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the link in chat, but I'm gonna ask that you try watching it with me screen sharing, and then we can talk about how that worked afterwards, just because it really depends on your internet connection. And then we can get a sense of whether I need to be sharing links or whether we can actually watch together. So I'm gonna put it in there. So if you realize partway through that like you just can't tell what's going on with my screen, then what you can do then is just go to that link and you can just mute me for a minute. Does that sound good? You can do that? Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna try this and see how that goes. Cool. All right. So, sorry, we'll go back to the beginning because this dude explains it really well.
A personal learning network, or PLN, is a way of describing the group of people, and sometimes organizations, you connect with in order to learn from their ideas, their questions, their reflections, and their references. Your PLN is not limited to online interactions, but it is that online global interactive part that really makes it special. It is personal because you choose who's part of that group, because you choose if you want to lurk, just check out what people are saying, or if you want to share, because you choose when to do so and how to do so. You don't have to know the people in your PLN personally. Their contribution to your learning focus is what brought you together through the internet. It is a network because these people are in turn connected to other people and organizations that influence and enrich the interactions of your group through various collaboration tools, usually referred to as Web 2.0. It is focused on learning. For instance, the learning I'm focused on in my PLN is professional development and education. I follow people who have interest in pedagogy, didactics, and technology, and I offer them some of my thoughts on the matter in various forms. How do you engage with your PLN? The tools vary from one person to another. My personal favorites are Twitter, YouTube, and the Educator's PLN. Your PLN is always on, but you don't have to be always on it. Take what you want, offer what you want, when you want, where you want it, and on whichever device you prefer. This keeps learning, or your professional development, always easily accessible.
All right. So, Tara was saying it was lagging. How is everyone else doing on that? How did that go? Worked well? Works okay on university? The university has fantastic Wi-Fi, so it really should be okay. But if you are on the if you are at the university, make sure you're on EduRoam and not on URGuest, because that's a lot better. Okay, so sounds like it worked for some people, but maybe the audio wasn't the greatest. So I think what we'll do probably is I'll have it so that like I'll share my screen, but I'll also put the link in. So if you know that your internet is not super great or that you've been having issues, then you're always welcome to go and just watch it through the link. And of course, the videos are all linked to the weekly plans too, so that you have that option to go back. So from that video, can you share just in the chat, what are some of the takeaways that you felt were important about that? Like, what is he saying? And he's using personal, right? But it also fits with professional if you see what he's talking about. So what are some of the major things that you took away from that? All right, thank you, Emily. You can engage where and when you want. Absolutely. What else? This is participation time. Yay, participation time. Way to ensure that you're always learning. Chris got kicked out of Zoom. Okay. Well, Chris, you can watch it afterwards. Always accessible. level and intensity of engagement is up to you. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Tailored to your learning interests. Do it how you want. Yep. So, and Jesse's saying like you don't have to share if you don't want to. And so he talks about lurking in the video, right? And lurking, you know, it sounds really bad. Like it sounds like a super sketchy thing to do. But it's actually, that is the word for that people often use for people who are, you know, they're on social media and they're watching things, right? But they don't really contribute anything. So what you're going to do in this class is you are going to have to get out of your lurking stage, right? But I know that for some of you, you're going to need to lurk for a little bit on Twitter, especially before you feel like you can get comfortable using it. And so the other important things I'm seeing, lots of really good points here, that you don't have to know people, right? Like I have a network on Twitter of like 3,000 people and I don't know many of them personally. But what's really hilarious is when you meet somebody who you know on Twitter and then you're like, oh, you're my Twitter friend and now we're face to face, and it's a little weird. But when it happens, it's kind of awesome. And another thing I think that's really important is that what you share, like what you put into your network is really what you're going to get out of it. So like I said, you can lurk for a little while, but really the more you reach out to people, even if it's just, you know, like, you know, telling somebody you like what they posted, the more that you reach out to people and you connect with them, the more you're going to get out of your network. And then if you ask a question or something, then you're more likely to get responses because there will be people who feel invested in you. It's also the idea that it caters to you. So this is really powerful for teachers. Twitter has a massive education community. It's like, I know there are a lot of people on Twitter who live in the weird, like, I'm going to share what I ate world. But there's also this crazy education community. If I look at my Twitter feed, it's almost all that kind of stuff. So I don't tend to get the, you know, food pictures and things. And so you really, with Twitter, you can really, you can turn your network into exactly what you want to see, right? And so if somebody's not sharing stuff that you're interested in, you can just stop following them, right? So one of the nice things about a PLN is that it really is like exactly what you are interested in. And I guess the other things are, you know, just the idea that you don't have to be engaging all the time. So when we get on Twitter next week, you're going to probably find it a little overwhelming. Like Twitter happens all the time and it feels like there's too much information and you're never ever going to get all of it. I've heard it described like, it's like a fire hose, right? So you can't drink out of a fire hose. Like you can't put your mouth on the fire hose because you would probably, you know, it would be a bad scene with all of that pressure. But you can sip from it, right? Like if you wanted to, you can kind of stand off to the side. That was an interesting noise. You can stand off to the side and kind of sip a little bit of water. And that's kind of how you need to approach this, right? There's no way you're going to take everything in. But you can go in there when you want and then take the things that apply to you, that are relevant to you and that you need at that particular time. And that's especially useful for teachers who maybe are in remote communities, who don't have a lot of people like in their immediate vicinity that they can learn from. Oh, there we go. That's weird. Sorry, random pop-up. And so it can be a really powerful force for connecting teachers who might not otherwise get a lot of professional development and a lot of professional engagement with others. So I will tell you more on Twitter next week, but for this week, we're going to talk about blogging. And so I'll give you my, like, this is why I'm making you do this, because I do think this is important. I have a blog, and you can read it. It's linked on the weekly plan, on the syllabus. So as a teacher, I think there are two things that are important here. So the one is that blogging is going to show kind of your growth over time, and it's going to be a nice record of your reflections, right? And of how your mindset, how your understandings of things have changed over the period that you are in university or in the program, right? And so it's kind of it's nice to have those reflection pieces to show your growth and to show your learning. The other thing is that we're going to work, as I said a little bit last week, on building that e-portfolio piece as well. And that, I think, by the time you graduate, hopefully you'll have a really solid portfolio so that you can go into an interview and you can say, like, hey, you want to see my work? Okay, here's my blog address, and here is all of the stuff that I've done. And you can look at my lesson plans. You can look at my teaching philosophy. You can look at, pictures of me in the classroom with students, or, you can see what professional development opportunities I've been to, because I have certificates on there, right? So it becomes, instead of having like this massive box of stuff that you carry around, it becomes an online record of that. And that makes it a lot easier because you can take your box to multiple places at once, right? Whereas if you have a massive box that you're lugging around with all your lesson plans, not only is it kind of daunting, but also, you can't really leave it with anyone because then you don't have your box anymore. So this is a really nice way, if you start to get in the habit of collecting things that show who you are as a teacher, and you build them over time, then it's not this big overwhelming thing. So if you're in your first year, I'm going to ask you to put up a few things this semester, right? We're going to start, you probably have a teaching philosophy. You probably, you can write an about me page, right? Like, because you don't need more classes to tell me who you are as a person. You can do that, right? And you might even find that you have some lesson plans that you've developed this year in some of your other classes, right? Or like presentations that you did. So there are lots of things that you can start building in that e-portfolio piece. And you're also just going to create kind of the structure of it, right? So that it's easy for you later on to just kind of insert the things that, that you create later. And so that way, when you create a unit plan, maybe in your third year, okay, this is how I'm going to organize my e-portfolio, and then I'm just going to put it up there, and now I've built that piece into it.
Can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was reading one of the articles you gave us that said that in another couple of years or soon, your online presence will actually be your resume.
Yeah.
So to be writing a resume, but people would look at you online and see what you have been doing, your philosophy, and so on.
Yeah, no, exactly, right? And I think that, the more we spend time online, the more that becomes like, sure, maybe I'll read your resume, but I'm certainly also going to check out what you're up to online. I want to see where you are on the internet, right? And the more that you put out there, the more that you control. So we all have maybe friends who make bad choices in their lives, right? And you don't want those things to be the things that people find if they search for you. So I had a student a couple years ago who had, she shared her name with an exotic dancer. Same spelling and everything, and it was kind of a weird spelling. So it was surprising, right? And so when she Googled herself, she got this erotic dancer, which is obviously, as a teacher, not what you're trying to have, right? So if your students are Googling you, you don't want them to come upon that. You don't want the parents to be like, oh my goodness, who is teaching my children? And so what she did was she put a lot of effort into, having her blog be just something that she contributed to often, so that it would start to be, more prominent on Google, and making sure that her Twitter was really, a strong presence on there, so that she can start to control what's out there and to be more prominent than this other person who she doesn't really want to be associated with. And so, it might be smart to Google your name. If you haven't done it already, you probably want to know, and see what comes up there, right? And we'll talk about that more later on. We'll talk a lot about digital identity, but I think it's good to get out in front of the problem and to figure out, like, do you share a name with someone? I was talking to middle years kids a couple months ago, and I asked them, do you know like what happens when you search for yourself? And one of them was like, oh, I share a name with a murderer. And, and so these kids know, like they've got to start doing something so that they have something positive to put out there. And also I think it's really, it's great to read in your resume that you have a degree in teaching and you know how to plan a unit, but it's very different from seeing like, here's your unit plan. We're seeing, here's your teaching philosophy, and here's how it, here's maybe how you've linked to lesson plans that support your teaching philosophy, and you've linked to a unit plan, and you've linked to photos, right? And so you're actually really backing up what you're saying instead of just being like, I believe in stuff in my classroom. So that's, I can continue to convince you if you're not convinced, but we are going to start building our online presence. So what I'm going to show you now is a WordPress blog. And I'm going to show you WordPress because it is, to me, I think the easiest one to use. So if you're if you haven't got a blog already that you're really set on, then I'm going to highly recommend that that's what you use. A large part of the internet is on WordPress. I think if you go to the WordPress homepage, there's something like 28% of sites on the internet are WordPress based. You'll start to recognize them once you get familiar with WordPress, and you'll be like, yeah, I could make that site. And then it all of a sudden makes not such great sites look really like sketchy, because you're like, I think that's a WordPress site that I could build myself. So it gives you a sense of like what credentials sites might have too. So I am going to show you. Okay, so here is some WordPress. It's just it's waking up. So can everyone see the WordPress screen? We're good? Yeah? Okay, and can you see my URL bar? Yeah, perfect. Okay. All right, so this is kind of the WordPress homepage. I already have an account, so it logs me in. But if you don't have an account, if you just go to wordpress.com, it will basically lead you through making an account. So I'm going to assume that you can actually do the part where you say, I want a blog, okay? And then I'm going to take you to what happens from there, all right? So we're going to create a new site. Let's see. It's down here somewhere. I think it always try. Oh, there we go. Ha. So I have lots of ridiculous sites. So Jenny, you can be doing this while I'm doing it. If you have the ability to do it at the same time, fine. Otherwise, just follow along, because you may find it's overwhelming to do it at the same time as listening. But if you want, you can like minimize Zoom and just listen to me talking and go from there. It's really your choice. It's not super complicated. I think you'll be able to work it out, and you can always go back and follow along. So I'm going to go down here and say add new site, right? And if you already have a WordPress site, then you're welcome to, like I said, keep the same site. If you have a WordPress site but it's got a weird name or something, but you actually do want to keep the site itself, you can change the URL of a WordPress site. So if you make a poor decision when you decide to make your blog for this class, you can always go back and change what your blog address is. So don't despair if you decide you want something different. So it's going to ask me like, what kind of site do I want? So I'm just going to start with a blog. It doesn't really matter. This is like, the thing with WordPress is you can change the way the background piece is set up at any time and it'll just keep your content there. So it doesn't, like, you could start any of them and it's fine. So we're going to just start with a blog, and it's going to give you like, choose a theme, right? Again, you get to choose one here. It does not matter in the slightest what you choose, because you can go back and change it at any point. You could change your theme every single day and it would be fine, because that's one of the things that's really nice about WordPress is it will take your stuff and it will just transfer it to the new theme. So the themes, as you can see, are just kind of the layout. It's what the website actually is going to look like. So you can see, for instance, Intergalactic 2 has, this, like, it has a space for a big photo. This one has, I guess it's really kind of putting the blog post right front and center. This one, you've got some nice kind of, like, you've got a little menu bar up top, and one on the side, and then some blog posts. And you'll find that different posts have different options, right? So some posts have the option to have a menu bar up across the top. Some of them have them on the side. And you'll just, at some point, you will figure out which one you end up liking, right? So I tend to like mine to have a menu bar across the top, but that's my personal preference. If you are, if you really like, you're just like, I don't know which one to pick, the safe bets are, there's one called 20, so they make one every year, right? So there's 2010, 2011, 2012. So you can see 2016 is up here. 2011 and 2012 are, if you really have no idea, those are very safe bets, okay? They're easy to use, and you can customize them, but they have like a reasonable layout. So if you need something to start with, those are always a good option. But I'll choose 2016 for now because it's staring me in the face there. And basically, most of the themes are free. There are premium themes, but you certainly don't need to buy one of those because there are hundreds that are available to use for free. But again, you can like play around with it. If you don't like the one you picked today, it's all good. You can change it tomorrow and it will be fine. So now you need to come up with a site address. So any thoughts on what we might want to consider when we are building a site address for our blog? What do you think? Okay, your full name definitely is a good option, right? So a lot of people choose just to have, first name, last name. Mine is katsiahildebrandt.ca. Simple. I mean, you can put your, you could put your school, right? Like if you have a position and you want to kind of brand yourself with a particular institution, then you certainly can do that. Please don't call your blog EDTC300, okay? Because A, not creative, okay? B, it really makes me feel like you're just gonna delete it at the end of class. And like, you know what? You can do that, but make it just, just spare my feelings on this one and just, consider that you might want to keep it, and don't call it like John's EDTC300 site, okay? Because it's not just that. You can have it for all of your classes. So I wouldn't make it course specific. Your full name is good if you're comfortable with that. Some people have, kind of like a more metaphorical one. So I know somebody who has like Beyond the Four Walls is her blog site, right? So if you have something like that, I'm not that kind of person. So I didn't go down the creative route because it would have turned out poorly, I'm sure. But when in doubt, you can always use your name, unless your name is like John Smith, in which case probably you're going to have to be John Smith 9632. If you can avoid the massive string of numbers at the end of your name, probably for the best, even if you put like Ms. something or whatever, right? So see if you can find something. And again, if you need to change it, I can show you how to do that. So I am going to just pick something random. And I think, sorry, I'm missing this. Yeah, and John, I think that's a good point, right? If you have social media accounts that are your teacher accounts, you want things to be consistent, right? And I think also, Holly, like if you have a catchy name or title that you think relates to kind of like your thoughts on teaching, that's absolutely great. Awesome. So you have those kind of two options. Don't call it something inappropriate though, because that really defeats the purpose of making a professional portfolio. And just side note, if you currently still have a Hotmail account that's like pinklady37@hotmail.com, now's the time to change that, okay? So you need a professional email account too. And oh, while I'm at it, let me throw this in here. Who uses Internet Explorer still? Okay, so if you use Internet Explorer still, and I'm telling you this because it will probably affect WordPress even, Internet Explorer is no longer supported as a browser by Microsoft, okay? So they are not fixing anything with it. And so there are a whole lot of things that don't run on Internet Explorer. 9 times out of 10 when someone's like, this bad thing is happening to me on the internet, it's because they're running Internet Explorer. So if you are still using it, you definitely need to get to a different browser. I have not used Microsoft Edge, so I use Chrome, Google Chrome. It's awesome, I love it. And I will show you later on Chrome. If you notice on my screen, there's all of these little things up here. Those are Chrome extensions, and they let you do all manner of amazing things. Like just this one here, this is ad block. This means I don't see any ads on the internet. So right there, totally worth it. So you've got some options. So Chrome is one, right? And Safari is one if you have an Apple, and another one would be Firefox. So to get a new browser, all you need to do is like put into your URL bar, download whatever you want. Okay, so like download Google Chrome will be happy to find how to do that for you. It's not hard, and it will make a difference if you're using, if you are still using Internet Explorer, because really like they're not supporting it. It is buggy with so many things. It does not work well. So if you have a tech issue and you email me, the first question I will ask you is, what browser are you using? So make sure that now's the time. Now's the time if you haven't changed yet. It's okay, Holly. We won't judge you because you also have Chrome. So and we won't judge you if you just found out that you shouldn't be using Internet Explorer. That's fine. But you need to change, really, truly. It will make your life better. And Chrome, seriously, my goodness, Chrome's amazing. So I'm going to stop selling Chrome right now. But it's seriously awesome. I love it. Okay, so back to WordPress. So we're going to come up with a name. And, you know, since I'm not going to use my own name because I'm sure I've created that already, we're going to do something ridiculous like Mrs. Purple Giraffe Site. Yes, Mrs. Purple Giraffe Site. So this is our teacher named Mrs. Purple Giraffe Site. And you'll notice, man, the WordPress.com version of this is available for free. We are in luck tonight. So you don't need to buy your own domain. If down the road you decide that you want to, I'm happy to help you get set up on that. I have my own domain. I like it. You can pay WordPress like 20 bucks a year, I think, to get the WordPress out, or you can host on your own, which is a step further. But for now, just get the .wordpress.com. It's fine. Again, if you want to change later, that's a different matter. I personally feel like I want to own my little corner of the internet, so I bought my domain, and that way I can do what I want on it. And you know, I feel like at least that little part of the internet is mine and is, you know, free of advertisements and other crazy things. So I'm going to get my Mrs. Purple Giraffe site. I'm going to select it because it's free. Fantastic. And now it's going to ask me to pick a plan. Hey, we're going to do free because, my goodness, why would you pay for WordPress site at this point? Like, it's, yeah, don't do it. Don't ever pay for WordPress site. Okay. So that was really easy. I now have a site. That is how easy it is to make yourself a site. If you screw up the first time, you can make another one. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go view my site. And let's see. There it is. Okay. So you can see it's super generic right now. If at the end of class, the top of your blog still says site title, we have a problem. Okay. So you will need to you'll have to go in and actually make it pretty. But it's actually kind of fun. So here's the most important thing that I'm gonna say today. It's super important. It is really important that you listen to this, because otherwise it's gonna be like a month later and somebody in here is gonna all of a sudden realize what I was talking about right now. And it's gonna be like the world has opened up to them. And I'm gonna say, why didn't you listen to me a month ago when I told you this, okay? This is from past experience. It happens every semester. And they're like, oh my God, why didn't you tell us this? I'm telling you right now. Here's how you get to the back end of your blog. This is important, okay? WordPress will try to stick you into their new back end of the blog. It's awful. So you need to pay attention to this. It's not hard. You go to your blog address, you can see the URL bar, and then you go /wp-admin. So again, I'll throw it in here so we can all see it. All right, so again, that's /wp-admin. Super important, like write it in red on your forehead if you're gonna forget otherwise. This, super important, okay? So when you're like, I don't know what to do, how to get to this thing that you're showing me on my blog, it's because you didn't do that. So you're gonna go up here, magic will happen. Yay, WP admin. Seriously, the number of times this dawns on people a month in is just, it's mind-boggling. So please, please, just pay attention to this one. Okay, this is your dashboard. If the site looks like this when you go to try to do stuff, you are in the right place. If it's a weird pale blue color, you are in the wrong place. You want the one that's black, okay? Black on the edges, gray in the middle, not super fancy looking, but it sure does work. So this is the back end of your blog. This is called your dashboard. This is where you do stuff on your blog. And you can do all manner of things. So one thing you can do really easy, change the appearance, right? So I probably need to fix that name, right? So customize will allow me to do that, but like you can play and all day looking through different things. You'll see WordPress is sneaky. It tries to take you to this stupid blue thing, but it's okay. We can do the blue thing here and then we'll move away from it. Yours isn't working. You need to give us more information. What part of it is not working? Okay, while Kylie is typing that, I'm assuming she's typing. So if I want to change my site title, not hard. There it is. You can't edit your blogs. What do you mean you can't edit? You have to log in? When do you want to grab the mic? Tell me what's happening. Anyone else having this issue? So if you put the WP admin on, oh good, go ahead.
Is it working now? Oh, this is weird. So it won't like let us edit anything.
Are you in the back of the back end of your blog?
Yeah, like it won't take us there.
Did you, and you put your site.wordpress.com/wp-admin.
Yeah, like this isn't the first time I've been on my blog. Oh.
Are you two in the same room and you both have your speakers on?
Yeah. There's three of us.
Okay, there we go. So you need to all be talking into one computer right now.
Pardon me?
You need to all talk into one computer and mute the rest of them.
Is your mic on? No. Mute your computer.
Mute your computer.
Okay, I feel like we sorted that out.
Struggling.
It says not unmute, so I press it again right now.
No, not your mic, your entire computer. 1 second.
You need to turn the volume up so you can't hear anything coming out of your computer. It's fun with technology, see? Okay, so here's what I'm gonna ask the lovely ladies in the same room causing crazy feedback to do.
There we go. It's better now.
Perfect.
Oh, I'm gonna ask you to put what you typed in there. Make sure, I want you to paste what it is into the chat so that we can see. Emily, that is good advice there.
Oh, close yours.
Yeah.
Close mine. Are you still on mic?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
We did this so we wouldn't struggle alone, but now we're just struggling times 3.
Oh,
Right.
no.
So what you're going to do is you're going to mute yourselves again, and then you are going to paste what you put in there into the chat so we can all see it. Excellent. Okay. While they're doing that, I'm going to change my site title. So this is where you might want to put your name, like, oh, here. Maybe, you know, Katya's e-portfolio, right? So something like that. And then you can put a tagline in if you want. That's just the line underneath. If your theme already has one, make sure you at least delete it, because otherwise there are going to be some issues, because it has dumb things like it's the cat's pajamas and things like that. You just want to get rid of that if that's the tagline, because it looks like you didn't edit it. Yes, you can password protect things, absolutely. Okay, so you put that in there and then you clicked on it and then it won't let you into it. Okay, that's a mystery to me right now. We're gonna, how about, I'm gonna ask that you, like, we can fix it at the end if you'd like, or it should work. There's no reason that's not working unless it's just a glitch on WordPress. Okay, it may be an issue with WordPress. I'm gonna guess that that's the issue. There's something going on with your site that's glitching. I'm hoping that mine won't start glitching now. I'm gonna say that's a WordPress issue. It's not you, you are doing everything right. So if that makes you feel better. Okay, so site title, tagline if you want. And then you can change your icon. That's just gonna be the little top icon it'll kind of be your like what shows up if you comment on other people's blogs or things like that. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to save it, right? You just want to make sure you've changed your title. And then the other thing, and so I'm going to click that X. The other thing is under appearance, you can change the theme, right? So if you go to themes, you can now go in there and you can go through all of the themes. You can try out different ones. So you can see there's 2017, lots of different options. There's 2010, a really easy to use theme. If you can't find the one you want, you can always search. So if I couldn't find like 2011, I can just go in here and type it in the box there. And so there's 2011, right? If I want to use that. So you can play around with this. And again, it'll just transfer your stuff, so don't worry about it. Don't buy a theme yet. Crazy. There are lots of really good ones, so just, you know, play around, check them out. The rest of it we will deal with in a minute. If you do want to change the picture, it'll auto-generate a picture, but if you go under header, you can upload your own picture as your header, right? And so that's also a nice option. So I'm back here and like, all right, I made my blog and now I need to post for class. Cool. So any guess as to what we might click on to make a post? Yes, thank you. Webster's really on top of this. Yes, we click on posts, surprisingly. So see how it says pages here? No, you're not clicking on pages. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't touch the pages until I tell you what to do with the pages. Don't do it. The thing with blogs is the posts, they generate what's called an RSS feed. Can I repeat what to go to change the picture? Yeah, you just go down to your header down here. And then, yeah, under header. So anything with appearance is under appearance. Okay, so when you make a post, basically what's going to happen is it creates a feed for your blog. And so people can subscribe to your blog so they get the posts so they can see when you put a new post up. You can't subscribe to pages, okay? So pages are not for your reflections or things like that. Pages are going to be for things that are not going to change, right? So you might put your teaching philosophy on a page. You might put an about me on a page. You might put a lesson plan on a page, right? But you absolutely cannot, put your blog posts on a page, because that will cause no end of problems, because we won't be able to see them. So again, when you are writing a post for class, a reflection, you need to add post, not add page, okay? Pages are for the ePortfolio pieces, not for your reflections. You can link to Twitter, absolutely. You can auto tweet your posts. You can do all sorts of things. I'll show you how to connect everything up. But yeah, you can do all of those types of things. WordPress is really, really user-friendly. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my posts, right? All right, remember, posts, reflections, posts. So it has one that auto-generated for you that says like, hello world. You can go ahead and delete that, because that just says, hey, you didn't do anything with your blog and you never bothered to delete the trial post that WordPress puts up. So easy. I click on the little button and then I click trash. Goodbye, generic post that says hello world. You're now gone. Okay. So now I can add a new post. So let's say I'm gonna write my post for this class. So this week, what you're gonna do is you're gonna write an introductory post. And so I am going to, I'm gonna enter my title first. So any thoughts on what I should put in my title? What's a good blog title? How do I make a good blog post title? Here, I'll give you ideas. What do you think of this one? Week 2 post. Anyone want to read that? No. You don't want to read that, right? A topic would be great. Yeah, it is pretty bland, right? I don't even want to read your post if it's called week 2 post. That's not exciting. So you want to write post titles that catch people's eyes, because that's the thing they're going to see with your post, right? So something creative, something that's kind of, that makes people want to read it. But it should still be related to what you're actually saying. So we don't want clickbait, right? So does anyone know who can describe clickbait for us? It's annoying, yeah, okay. What does it do? Yeah, it's like you want to read it because it sounds really exciting, but then it's like it has nothing to do with that. So for instance, like an elephant walked into the classroom. And then, classic clickbait line, you'll never guess what happened next, right? And then you go and read the post, and oh my goodness, they don't ever tell you what happened when the elephant walked into the classroom, and it's really frustrating, frankly. So don't be that person, right? If you actually are going to write an exciting story about an elephant in the classroom, right on, that's awesome. But yeah, if it's something that's just gonna disappoint us when we actually click, then that's no good. And the reason that people write with clickbait is often you get paid based on how many people click on your site, right? So people write things that make you wanna click because then they get ad revenue. But you're not really in it for the ad revenue. So you're gonna do a fun title. So whatever, I mean, okay, all about me. Not the best title ever, but it's better than week 2 post, okay? So you're gonna call it something that makes us wanna read it. And then you get to start writing. So this is, again, pretty self-explanatory. There's a giant empty box, that's where you're gonna write. And so you've got your post, and you're gonna, write whatever you want. The thing with blogging is that it's pretty informal, right? You should still, capitalize things. We still use actual spelling conventions, things like that. But you're not gonna, you're not going to cite an article in the way that you do it in a paper. You're not gonna use APA. Yes, I can. Yes, I can, Webster. We're getting there. Don't worry. We're on top of this. Yeah. So you don't need to be super formal about your writing. You're still going to reference things, but you're going to do it in a little bit of a different way. So What I'm going to do if I want to talk about something that I read is I'm just going to link to it. So let's say I want to talk about reading my own blog, because whatever, it's there. Okay, so if I want to say I read this blog, I have two options, right? So this is my like regular like blog, just if I want to reference the entire blog and just say, you know, I was reading this blog by this person, because remember, I'm a purple giraffe in my other lifestyle. So different people, right? So if I wanted to talk about that, I just grabbed the URL, right? I copied it. And then I might say like, I was reading Katya's blog. It's fun talking about yourself in the third person. And then I would just highlight those words. And I'm going to click on the little linky thing that looks like a fence link. And I'm going to put that URL in that I just copied and pasted and apply. And now I've added a hyperlink to the blog. If you want to put a link in a blog, you need to hyperlink it to some words. Please don't just do it like throwing the link in. It's really ugly. That's called a bare link. Nobody wants to see that in your post. It's not cool. So you always want to have some words that you are attaching things to, right? So in this case, because I'm talking about that blog, I have attached it to that. And that way, if somebody wants to go and look at this blog that I've been reading, then they can do that. So that's one option for linking. And if you are referring to an article or you know, a site that you were looking at, that's how you're going to do it. You're going to attach that URL, right? And I have never yet seen a post with too many links in it. So, you know, maybe that's challenge accepted for some of you, but it's good. Links are good. Think of your blog as like a choose your own adventure. And so you want your readers to be able to go like, oh, I want to know about that. So I'm just going to click on that. Or I want to learn more about that. So I'm going to click on this other thing. You want to give them lots of opportunities to look at different things, but it's also, this is how you're referencing things. This is how you're saying, I'm not just like making stuff up, is by linking to it. So if you give kind of, you know, you read an article about, I don't know, multiple intelligences. You don't have to tell us everything that was in there. You can just link to the article. And then you're backing up what you're saying. So I'm going to get rid of the ugly bear link. So the other thing, though, is sometimes you want to link to somebody's post. So to somebody maybe who has another WordPress blog, and you want to talk about a specific post. And there's something that you can do on WordPress that's kind of neat. So if I wanted to link to this post, for instance, instead of just giving that whole URL, or sorry, the base URL with just the name, I'm going to actually get the URL of the post by clicking on the title of it. And when I copy that, this is going to do something cool. So basically, let's say, you know, I liked this post about digital citizenship. Okay, so I'm going to, again, what words would you highlight here? What do you think? This post, yeah, that would be one option. Or you could also, so I would say if I saw that and it just was linked to digital citizenship, I would think that it was you were sending us to a definition of digital citizenship. Jesse's got it, right? I could say this post, or I could say this post about digital citizenship. So again, if I'm just on digital citizenship, I'm going to think like it's just, I don't connect it to the post. I connect it to the idea of digital citizenship. I'm going to assume that you're sending me to the Wikipedia page or something. And you'll start to see this as like a blog convention. You'll see what gets hyperlinked. So I'm going to throw it on here like Jesse suggested, but this post would also be fine. This, because I'm linking directly to a post, not just to the home site, this, if I were to publish it, creates something that's called a pingback, okay? So a pingback is something that WordPress blogs do. And so what would happen is I would actually get a notification on my blog saying that somebody had referenced it. So that's kind of a neat thing that you can do, right? So if Holly's writing a post and she's like, oh, I read Emily's blog and I really I want to talk about Emily's blog and I want to kind of bring her into the conversation. So I'm going to put a direct link to her URL, and then that way Emily's going to know that I was talking about her post, and maybe she'll come and comment on my blog, right? And so that's kind of a nice way. Oh, wait, what happened? Where did you go? Did I just lose all of you? Zoom. You're still okay. I just lost my window somehow. That was super weird. Sorry. Okay. Just lost my picture. Good. I'm really glad that I didn't lose all of you. I just lost your faces. That's kind of sad. Anyway, I don't know where they went. Okay. It's all right. Still working on it. It's cool. Okay. You can still see my screen, yeah? That was just bizarre. All right. So you can see, for instance, if I go to the bottom of this post, here's one. There's a ping back here. So I know that this blog mentioned my, they talked about my blog post. So if I wanted to know, I could go and check it out, right? This one did it too, right? It's clearly been linked in somebody else's blog. So it's a good way of, you know, getting some extra readers, but also kind of just connecting with other people and saying like, hey, you know, I read your post and I'm interested, right? So that's kind of, those are some of the things that I can do on a blog post in terms of linking. What else might I want to do in terms of putting things in my blog? Does it show up? Yeah, the ping back. So I automatically, if somebody references my post, I will automatically get, I'll get an email about it, but it'll also show up automatically on the bottom of my blog. So there's nothing I have to do there. Yeah, so but it's only between WordPress sites, right? Because this is something that WordPress has built in. All right, so what else? Can I demonstrate how to do it one more time? Yeah. Here, let me go back to my site. Okay, so again, this is a specific post, right? So if somebody links to this, I don't get a notification, right? I absolutely will never know that somebody has linked to my blog because it's just the base URL. But if I click on this one, you'll notice I get a post-specific URL, and I need to link to that in order to create a ping back, okay? So if I want to talk about that, I'm going to link this particular URL, which is what I did here, right? But I can undo it and then redo it. So basically, again, I'm going to link specifically to the post. So same thing, just a little fence link. It's just the difference of what URL I'm using. And yes, Jenny, and that is a good question. There's some crazy people on the internet, frankly. Yeah, you can get rid of any comments if you don't like it. Yeah, you can even get rid of pingbacks from particular people if they're causing problems. So WordPress does have some good blocking features. Okay, so there is, again, our pingback. Yes, I can tell you that, Emily. It's actually just it's actually a Chrome extension because I love Chrome extensions. Okay, so what else? What else might I put in a post that would make for a good post? What do you think? A picture, different media, photos, yes. Excellent, we have so many options. Okay, so we're gonna start with a video. So videos are the easiest thing to put in there. And they already link themselves, so it's great because you don't even need to give credit for them. So here we go. Let's say I want to put this fantastic PLN thing in here. If you want to link a YouTube video, your life is going to be super easy because all you do is you grab that particular URL, right? You go into your post, make sure it's on a separate line so you're not like in the middle of a sentence. Put that YouTube link in and it pops up like a video without you doing anything at all. So if you want to link a video, really easy to do it with YouTube. And so that's kind of like, that's the easiest thing you could possibly do. It is really lovely, right? Like it's fantastic. And so there's really nothing you need to do for that. And you don't need to reference where you got it from because it links back to the original, right? And so it's like, we don't need to worry about it because it already has its own kind of citation there. Okay, so we said video, yeah, so we got video, fantastic. Another thing though that we might want to add, of course, would be an image. So where might I go about, or how might I go about finding an image to use in my blog? What do you do if you need an image? You go to Google, right? Oh, Webster, you're really on top of things, man. So everyone here is saying Google Images. Okay, so, you know, sometimes that's okay. If I go to, what is it, images.google.com. Okay, so Google Images, let's say I'm looking for a picture of an armadillo. I don't know, that's just the first thing that came into my head, weirdly enough. Okay, so Tara, if it's your own picture, you are solid gold. You do not need to do anything. You can put your own picture in with nobody's business. So Holly, all you do to put the YouTube video in is you literally put the URL into your post and it pops up. So like nothing more to it, it's super easy. Okay, so here we've got some armadillo pictures, right? I cannot, contrary to popular belief, just steal any of the images of the armadillo because they may not be, so they may be copyrighted, right? They belong to somebody, so I'm not allowed to just take them, despite what most of the internet would lead you to believe about this. Is that a dead armadillo? Because that's really dark. My God, I think it is. All right, poor little guy. Armadillos are creepy. I don't know why I searched for that, it was weird. So, okay, so there are ways of going through here. I can go into tools, I believe, and I can look at my usage rights, right? And I can actually look for, you know, non-commercial reuse, because that's what I am doing, right? I'm not a commercial site. And now it'll give me the things that I am actually able to use legally, okay? So that is the way to do it, right? You can do it that way. You can bring the photo in, and then you can just put a link to it. But I'm going to show you a better way even of doing so. So Webster mentioned something called the Creative Commons. So there's a site, and if I search for Creative Commons, you'll see. Creative Commons is a collection of basically images that are copyleft, right? So there are things where people have said, you can use my photo, and you know, I'm allowing you to do that, and I'm giving you particular usage rights, right? So, oh, there we go. And so basically, things on here will allow you, depending on what license you choose, to use and remix things, or you might be able to use things for non-commercial use. Lots of different options, right? If you have a Flickr account, you actually, so if you have an Instagram account or you know, Facebook or anything, as soon as you put a picture up there, you no longer own the copyright on it, right? You've just signed that away to the company. But if you use Flickr, which is a photo sharing site, you can actually decide what kind of license you want on it. So you can say it's copyrighted, nobody can touch it. You can say, I want it to be shareable, usable by others, remixable by others. And so you have that option, right? But so in terms of looking for photos, the Creative Commons is a great place to go. And I want you to get into the habit of using Creative Commons photos that are what's known as copyleft and not copyright. But what we're gonna do is, I don't want you to use this site. Like you can go to search.creativecommons.org and you can look for pictures, but there's actually a better option. So I use something called CompFite. So CompFite is like a database that I can use of, and it searches various like databases of photos, basically. So I'm gonna go to compfite.com. I'll just show you, I'll throw that in there in case you're interested. This site is like gold. I love this site. So I'm on comp fight, and now I want to say, you know, I'm going to go back to my armadillos because, you know, they were kind of weirdly cute before. Also weird. Okay, so I want a picture of an armadillo because I really want a picture of an armadillo in my post. When you search for something on this site, there will be a line, right? And these are professional stock photos. So if you really wanted one of these fancy pictures of the armadillo, you could buy it from up here. But we don't want to do that, so we're going to look below the line. And everything below the line is going to be, in one way or another, it's going to be licensed. So I want to look for a Creative Commons license because that will allow me to actually use it. I don't need a commercial license again. And so all of these are going to be things that I can use. And so if I click on one, so let's say I want this photo, I'm interested in this. I can go and look at it, and I can actually see what the rights are. And so you'll see what this looks like. So this one says attribution, non-commercial, 2.0 generic, right? So that means, stop telling me to share. That means I am free to share it. So I can put it on my blog, absolutely. And I'm also allowed to remix it. But I have to give attribution, meaning I have to say where I got it from. And I have to indicate if I've changed anything, right? So if I remixed it in some way, I need to say, you know, adapted from this person. And it needs to be non-commercial. So I can't use it for commercial purposes, right? So every image on here is going to have something like that. Most of them are going to be that, like, often they're non-commercial, and generally they say you have to give attribution. And that's where the site is just dynamite. Because, so here's what we're going to do. I want to download this image because I'm gonna use this one. I like it. I'm going to download it in medium form. I don't need a massive one. So I'm going to download this to my computer, okay? And so I'm going to go back to my post. And down here, any guesses as to how I get an image in here? Paste? No. That only works with videos. Add media, yes. So up here, add media. This is where you can add media. This is the way to do it. So what you need to do is you have to upload to your library, okay? Now, at this point, I can drag and drop. So I can just take that photo and pull it up in here. And so that is, it's just uploading now, right? So now I have that, and you'll notice on the side, it has the URL, right? It pulled that from where it was, pulled the title. Caption is, if, you know, if I want to write something underneath. Description, this one is for if, basically, if you had a blind person who is using a browser that reads to you, if you put description in there, it will, whatever they're using to read will teach you, or will tell them what it is. So if I put, like, this is a picture of an armadillo, then that way, if somebody who is, like, visually impaired in some way is getting this read to them, they'll know what the picture is. Otherwise, it'll just come up with, like, this is something with a title and URL that doesn't help. Yeah, so same thing. You should be able to drag and drop it on Microsoft as well, absolutely. And if that doesn't work for you, you can always go back to here and say select file and do it that way. But it should work, absolutely. Okay, so I've got my picture and I want to insert this, so I can make sure it's clicked. And now I'm going to insert into post. Okay, so I have my picture. I actually dragged it right from when I download it, shows up at the bottom of my my browser, but I could drag it from the desktop, absolutely. I could have put it on the desktop and then dragged it on. And if you select a file, you could go into your files and grab it that way. So I have put the photo in, but did I do everything I need to do? Oh, did not mean to do that, sorry. There we go. I need to give credit. Yes, if you remember, it said I need some attribution on there, right? So this again, this is why we love comp fight. So I go back over here, right? And see this is some HTML. So HTML is the language that a WordPress blog is written in, right? So computers function with various types of code. HTML is a particular type of code that works for things like blog sites, right? So you'll notice if I go up here into my post, right now I have it set on visual. If I go into text mode, what you'll see, this is HTML right here, right? And HTML actually gives the site all of the additional information that it needs. So it tells it, hey, you need to attach a link to this particular set of words. You know, and you need to, basically you need to put the image in, and here's how big you need to put the image in. So this actually helps us to, you can see exactly what the code is that's behind your post. And so I need to go into my text mode, right? And then if I take that stuff that I just copied and I just throw it underneath here, so that HTML that I just copied from that other page, right? If I put it underneath here while I'm in text mode, that's important. And then I go back to visual, you'll see that it generates a photo credit for me, which is like super awesome and amazing. So then I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to figure out what to link or anything. It made it for me. Now, if I had changed something on it, if I remixed, then I would want to put something in. So I might say, you know, photo credit remixed from Mark Dumont, right? So does that make sense, everyone? I have a very specific YouTube video that you can watch again to, like, you can watch it and follow along with that if you just want to do that again. But the important pieces are that you grab the HTML here, right? And then that you make sure you go into text before you're pasting. Because if you just paste it in visual, it's just going to look like a bunch of HTML under your photo and nobody wants to see that. Okay, so I've added an image, I've added attribution, I have put links in, I've added a video. I'm actually just gonna unlink this part just because I don't really want to ping back to this really bizarre and like all over the place post. Because if I publish this, it will actually send a ping back to my site. And I don't really need that. So I'm gonna publish this, right? So now, you know, I've got what I want in there, whatever. It's kind of a crazy post, but we'll just pretend that it's good. And one thing, when you make a new WordPress site, if you don't have a publish button, it means that you haven't verified your email. So there will be something there that says verify your email, and it probably will be a bar across the top. Until you do that, you will not be able to publish anything. So if you don't have this button and you're like, where did the publish button go? That's why. So the other thing I want to do is I'm going to want to add a category, right? So, you know, you have, maybe you have stuff for this class, you have stuff for other classes, and you want them to be sorted out. So I'm going to add a category. And you're going to do this when you make your blog. So I'm going to say this is for EDTC300. I'm going to add that category, right? And let's pretend that this is also my learning project. It's on armadillos, apparently. So I'm going to make another category for my learning project. And you'll notice I'm just making categories right here. Like I didn't have them before. I'm adding new ones. So right now, I now have, it's categorized as both of these things. So when you make posts in here, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to categorize things as the class, right? But you're also, if it's a learning project post, you are also going to categorize as learning project. Okay, so so there are both. And then I am going to publish. So you'll notice there are lots of other things that you can play with, and like we can go over some of the other things, but this is the important stuff. What's important is that you categorize, and don't get lost with the tags. That's different. You want to be doing categories. That's really important. Okay, so I'm pretending that this is a learning project post, so I've clicked both of my boxes, and I'm going to publish. And this magical work of art is going to show up on the internet, which is kind of hilarious. Okay, so I can go and see it now. Yay, it's published. I'm going to go view my post. Yeah, great. It's, you know, a little bit weird, but you'll see over here, it tells me that it is categorized in these two things, right? It says when it was published, and all of this lovely stuff is now in here. So that's how you publish a post. So this week, the one thing that you're gonna need to write is you are going to write a post about you, right? You're gonna write an introductory post about yourself. And I have to add this to the weekly plans because it's not actually in there, so I didn't think of actually putting it in. But the other thing you're gonna do this week is you're gonna write your introductory post for your learning project, right? So you're gonna have the one that's all like your intro post, doesn't need to be super long, right? Just, you know, tell us a little bit about you. You'll notice, I'll just pop over to the weekly plans. You'll notice that basically, where is it? It asks you on the social media form to fill out your URL, and then it says, okay, you need to create an introductory blog post that tells us who you are, and you need to include at least one relevant image with proper attribution, unless it's your own, and you need to link to one thing. So this is me getting you to practice those things we just did. So I'm also gonna say, write your very first learning project post. In terms of how long, I mean, for an introductory post, it might just be 2 paragraphs, right? It's not gonna be anything massive. It'll really depend throughout the semester, you'll see, and you'll start to see how long, I mean, you can look at how long my posts are, they tend to be a little bit longer. But when you get into it, some of your posts will be longer. For now, like a short, you know, a couple paragraphs will be fine. The other one, your learning project post, again, isn't gonna be super long right now because you're just starting. But in your learning project post, as we talked about, you want to be giving us your baseline, right? So that might mean that you take a video of yourself. Good news, putting videos on YouTube is unbelievably easy. So you can probably work it out on your own. But basically, you're gonna write a post, a learning project post, to kind of tell us where you are and what your plan is for your learning project. So also outline your plan for the project, okay? Are there any questions about that? Seem okay? We're all still alive and everything? Oh, there's where my picture went. Yes. Found your faces again. It's a good day. It is a good day when I find your faces. Okay. Are we good then? Does this make sense? You don't have to post video. No, you don't. At some point this semester, yes, you're going to have to learn how to post a video. But yeah, basically it means like, where are you now? If you're learning French, do you speak any French yet? Or are you literally at like nothing? So tell us where you are in terms of a start. If you want to make a video, the easiest way to put a video on your blog is absolutely to link it to YouTube, or to put it on YouTube rather. And you'll notice if you take a video on your phone, for instance, it will have a button that says upload to YouTube. Like, it's unbelievably easy. So it's really like, if Kendall, if it's nothing, then just tell us that it's nothing. Say like, hey, I'm gonna learn to crochet. I've never crocheted in my life, but I wanna learn. Tell us why. Like, why do you care about crocheting? And then tell us, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's my plan for learning, okay? So with the YouTube channel, there is an option, right? You can make videos. There are 3 options for YouTube. You can make them private. You can't do that because nobody will be able to see it but you. That's unhelpful. You can make it public, which means it's, you know, searchable and all of that, or you can make it unlisted. This is how I put the videos of class up. The only way to find an unlisted video is through the link. So when I give the link to the class video in Google+, there's no way for anyone to get to that without having that link. So it's basically a private video for everyone just for the people who basically are allowed to see it, okay? So what you would do is you can make your video unlisted, and then you just put the link in your blog, and that way the only way to get to it is through that blog link, right? And it won't show up in a search. It won't show up if somebody goes to your YouTube page. So really the only way to get to it will be through that blog. So that, I mean, that is actually what I'd recommend for the most part, would be to make unlisted videos, unless you really want to become a YouTube star, I guess. You don't really need to put everything out there. I happen to make videos about like how to post things on your blog, because that's what I do. And so I make those public because I don't really care. Yeah, you don't need to do that. Okay, so the other thing though you'll notice, in the weekly plans is you need to fill out the social media info, and you need to give me your URL for this class. So I need to show you how to do that. It's not hard, okay? And so this is the same thing if, for instance, somebody said they're taking ECS 210, right? You can also give them a specific category link for that class. So I'm gonna show you how to find your category link. So again, I'm gonna go to my site. I'm gonna get rid of all this jazz at the end. And what am I adding? What am I putting at the end to get to where I wanna go? It's gonna be like clockwork by the end. Everyone's gonna know. Yes, WP-admin, right? Yeah, oh, sorry, didn't mean to click on ad block. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in there. You didn't know the answer to that, pay attention more. I'm gonna go back in there, and you'll see over on the side, under posts, one of the things that pops up is categories. I'm gonna click on that. I'm gonna be able to see the categories that I've created. So you're gonna need to give me the category for EDTC300. You don't actually need to give me your learning project category, because you're gonna categorize everything as both, right? So that's more for you to have to be able to, and I'll show you how to make it separate on your site. But for me, you just need to give me this one. And so all you're gonna do to get that URL is you're gonna click view. And up in your URL box, when you view, it's going to give you the link that you need. This is the link that you're gonna copy and paste into that form. And you'll notice everything that shows up here will just be the post that you've made for this class. And yeah, absolutely. You certainly can, you can privatize any post. Like, you are able to do that for every single thing. WordPress allows you to be very specific about what you're showing and what you're not. Okay, so that's that. And that's kind of how to make that category and how to give me that link. The one other thing that I'm gonna tell you is, I know that, so this is our menu right here on this site. Looks different depending on what site you're on. And sometimes people want to make a little menu for the blogs that you're making for this class. You want that item. So the thing that I'm going to show you, the last thing, is under appearance. You can go to menus. You can decide what's in that little menu bar. So right now, I have a menu. My menu has the home link that just takes you to my home page. I have about. I'm going to get rid of it because there's nothing on it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and remove. And same with contact. I don't need anything on there. I'm going to remove that. But what I do want is a page, or I want a menu item for my post for this class, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to categories. This is a big deal. Some people will try to put a page there. That doesn't help us, okay? The page won't do anything for you. You need to go under your categories. I'm gonna add my categories. It's gonna be awesome. They're now here, right? They are in my menu bar. It pretends to be a page. It seems like a page, but it's actually just it's a place that all of your posts that are categorized that way are gonna show up on your blog without you having to do anything except click the little category box. And I can also like play around with them. So if I want learning project to be a drop down, I just kind of move it over. I need to make sure that my display location is where I want it. Most of them or a lot of them won't have two options, but you do need to make sure that primary menu is checked. Otherwise your menu will not show up anywhere. So I'm gonna save the menu, and then you're gonna see magic. And later on we'll talk about how you're gonna add the pages in. But this is what's really important. And so if you have multiple classes that you're blogging for, you can add the little tabs for each one. So now if I go back into my site, then you'll notice I now have this here. And so I can click here. If I click on this one, I get this category, everything that's for this class. If I click on the drop down, I only get the posts that are part of Learning Project. All right? So that's something that you can put on your blog as well. And that'll be like the beginning of your organization. Okay, that was a lot. There are other things, there are a gazillion other things that I could show you. And I will do that. We will do that over the coming weeks, but you'll notice we've accessed the dashboard, we've added links, we've added categories, we made a menu, we added an image. I'm gonna bold these because we did them. We have not added widgets yet, but we're gonna do that. And then we can talk about, yeah, so these last three we're going to do next time. But you have what you need to make a blog and then to post this lovely thing. If you are stuck, there is this playlist of screencasts that shows you how to do all manner of things on your blog. There are other options. This website here, this C here, Blogging Resources, has like everything you could ever possibly want to know about blogging collected in one place. And then there's stuff around categories as well. So there's lots there, right? So if you're having issues, check these first. The screencasts are made by me. Some of the sound is a little wonky, but it's fine. Like everything will be okay. You can watch it and follow. They're like a minute long. And so all you need to do really, you've got some things to read, and you've got the social media form that you need to fill out, and you've got your blog posts that you need to do. And that brings us to 8:30. So that's it. That was a lot of information, I realize. But it's all going to be recorded, so you can check it out if you need to. And there are specialized videos for all of those little things if you don't want to watch the whole thing. So I will post that either later tonight or I'll post it tomorrow morning if it hasn't uploaded yet. And again, I'll put it on a YouTube unlisted link so that we can only get to it through that community. I'll stick around for a minute if you have questions. But other than that, I'm going to stop the recording. Blogs are awesome, Emily, and it's really, there's so much you can do and there's so much to play with. So sorry, Luke. No, absolutely not. That'll take you to a sign-in page. It's just for me, I'm already signed in. So it took me into there, but otherwise, yeah, that would be really not good. So it'll take you to the sign-in page if you're not already in. Okay, so hang on, I'm just gonna find the part where I share my screen, or rather unshare it. It doesn't wanna let me be there, okay. Excellent, all right. I'm gonna stop my share, and I'm also going to stop the recording.